Hello gorgeous, thank you so much for coming back to join me for part 3 of the Candy Cane Couture Collection tutorial. This is the pair we've been working on and we're going to finish them up in this video. So now from here, I've just got to figure out what I want to put on here. I know I want to put a poinsettia on here. If I didn't say it in the last video, I'm not sure if that word is pronounced poinsettia or poinsettia, but where I'm from, we say poinsettia, so that's what I'm going to say. But anyway, I know I want one of those on there. What else do I want? Probably some of the little roses or the rose type flowers. Obviously some leaves and the holly. The question is, where do I start? I want to not put much more over here on this side because I don't want the earring to, hang crooked. So I need to put weight on this side over here. So I think on this side, all I'm going to need is like some little holly leaves maybe. I could put the poinsettia in the center. I think that's what I'm going to do. I know I'm kind of wasting time here, but I don't know. Sometimes it's just nice to follow along with an artist's train of thought. Sometimes that is helpful, or at least I find it helpful sometimes. Let's get into some of the other prep work that I've done ahead of time. First, I made these, well, I didn't make the cutters. I reshaped these, like the round metal cutters. Again, I'll leave you a link for those in the description box. I just used my fingers and my pliers to shape little leaf or football shapes, and I've got 3 different sizes of those. And then I've got a pear shape and 2 ovals. And that's all of the ones that I made. It's easy enough to just cut, like a petal shape. Like that with your craft knife. Sorry, I wasn't. Let me do it again. There we go. It's easy enough to just cut it with your knife. But because I knew I was going to have to do so many of them, I wanted a cutter. Since I've already got it out, these color blends are another thing that I've done ahead of time. I kept these very, very narrow to the size of my cutter because I wanted to cut one piece and it have the entire blend. So if you don't know how to control your blend to make it this narrow, I've got a video for that and I will link it either up here in the eye or in the description box. But I did 2 different colors of these. Got this darker color here and a lighter color. And I'm sorry that these are not like camera ready, but I've already been working on these. The darkest color in this one is the lighter color in this one. This one picks up where this one left off. And then I've got some pink blends that I did for my flowers. These I did not keep as narrow. Again though, this one, the lighter color in this blend is the darker color in this blend. And then the last one is this kind of beigey cream one that I made for my poinsettias. I wish I had made the dark part a little bit darker because once they get the texture and everything on them, the darker part or the color blend is not showing up as well as I would like for it to. I wish this was a little bit darker. I could have went back and redone it, but it wasn't that big of a bother to me, so I just left it. I kept this narrow to fit my cutter. So I'm going to take my blend here. I did go ahead and cut out all the petals with that. So now I'm going to add these, putting 5 per flower. I'm going to get a little bit of Armor All to put on my blade. This is just a small, it's a short thin blade. So I'm going to put a little bit of Armor All on my rag here and wipe my blade with it. That will kind of clean the blade and make it where the petals won't stick to it. I might as well go ahead and loosen up all of those. If you think you're gonna need more of these blends than what you have made, you can take the cutout. I'm not going to because I have even more of this blend, but you can take this part that's left and put it together like that and just keep stacking them on top of each other in the same color order, and then you have enough clay there to make more blend. I honestly have forgot what I have told you and what I haven't, but if I didn't say it before, it is best to let this stuff sit for a few days after you've done your blend, and then that way it makes it easier when you're forming the petals, because the clay is firmer and it won't squish so easily. I need to shape these petals and I need to put the veins in them, but I don't want them to just squish in my hands and get too mushy. It's not going to hurt them if they sit here for a few days. Actually, tell the truth, mine have probably been sitting here for a couple of weeks. Alright, now I'm going to take my little leaves, zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. Petals, leaves, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to get my needle tool. I don't want a very big needle tool, but I do want one that's kind of firm. And then I'm just going to put my vein in there. Then my little side ones. And then I'm going to take my needle and just pull it off my finger. Probably honestly need to put some lotion on my fingers. That's in the wrong direction. A good habit to get in is to, when you sit down to work, go ahead and put lotion on your hands. Polymer clay really dries your skin out, and then when you're working on things like this, it sticks. So if you put lotion on when you sit down before you start working, it will help with both of those things. Alright, I'm going to finish sculpting up all of these and then we'll move to the next step. I'm ready to start adding the flowers to the base. So I'm going to take some of the scraps from cutting those out and just get me a little piece of it, roll it into a ball, flatten it out, just because I don't think these petals will meet all of the way in the middle. I want to see if that's about where I want that though. Yeah. But the petals won't meet all the way in the middle, and so that green will show through. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't need to do this because I already have that raw clay in the green. But I just want to make sure that I don't have any of that green showing through in the center of the flower. I think those are pretty even. Just going to take a ball tool, press it down a little bit. Doesn't have to be anything major. But I think, let me see, before I put these petals on, yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and do some of the other parts to this so that they will be up underneath these petals. I'm going to set the petals aside. I should have put them on some plastic, but I'm going to set them aside and go ahead and work on some of my holly leaves and my other flower. Now it's time to do the holly leaves. I've got my large and my medium shaped petal shape cut out about a couple of those of each size. Now the smaller ones, like if it doesn't take up the whole blend, I just kind of move it back and forth so that my blends have different colors. Like that one's all the way up into the lightest part and this one's down in the darkest. And then that just gives a little bit more variety. Now I've got to take these off from here and then move them and reattach them. I'm not going to press them down like really hard, but just enough that they'll stick. And then I'm going to take my oval cutters. I have these in 2 different sizes. I did try it with just the round, but I found out that the oval works better because the round made it too skinny and too long, but the oval works better. Right on the edge here, I don't know how to get that where you can see it. I've got the oval going in the same direction as the football shape or petal shape. Then I'm going to take just a little bit off of it like that. Do the same on the other side. Take just a little bit off right there in the middle. And then from here to here, I'm going to do a little scoop again. Put my cutter right there. There we go. I'm sure you can buy tiny little holly cutters, but they're all going to be exactly the same. And I like a bit of variety. I mean, there's nothing wrong with buying cutters. I love cutters. But for this, I would just rather have some variety. Besides the fact I didn't want to have to order one little cutter and wait for it to get here. Now I feel like I get a better shape if I go from one side to the other, especially on that first cut in the middle. I could do all of one side and then the other. I just feel like this gives me a better shape. Now once I get that one, I can do those all on one side. Where I live, or at least used to, holly bushes are used for like a decorative hedge. Are they used for that where you live? They may not be used as much anymore for decorative hedges as they used to be, and we always called them sticker bushes. When you're a kid, it's like, be careful, don't fall in the sticker bush. Yeah, because it is not fun if you do. Because they are prickly. Gonna continue, make me a few more holly leaves, and then I'll add them onto my earrings. Got me a few little holly leaves cut out now. Now, they are very blunt from where they were cut on the sides there. So I'm going to smush it between my fingers to soften that just a little bit. Take my needle tool and just run one line right down the center. And I will do that to all of those. Actually, you know what? I'm going to place them on my little piece of plastic paper here with my poinsettia leaves, petals, leaves. Actually, they're leaves, aren't they? I've got all my holly leaves shaped now and ready to go. So I'm going to attach them to my base. But first, I'm going to get out a little bit more poly paste and put it on my towel. Just because I don't want to have to press these in too hard. And then that also helps if I do happen to get it on a place that doesn't already have the clay on it. So I'm just gonna pick up some, get a little bit of paste there on the base, and then figure out where I want to put him. I'm gonna turn this. I know that doesn't really help you a whole lot, but it does help me. I think I will put one right there. One of the big ones. And another big one. Now, just like with the pine needles, I do want this to stick up some. I want it to be three-dimensional, but I don't want it to stick up too far. I think that's okay. Now do the same to this one. I like those. So I'm going to get some more of the smaller ones this time. Get out some more paste. Almost think I want a little one right there. Maybe just one right there. I shouldn't have done that with a ball tool. Okay, I'm gonna have to take that one off. I left a dent in it with the ball tool. Sometimes they're harder to pick up with the needle, but at least with the needle, you're making the right impressions in it. And I don't think I like where I put that one, but it's okay. Should I put another one there or no? Yeah, I guess I will. Alright, now I gotta do the same on this side. Okay, I think that looks pretty decent. These leaves aren't at the exact same angle, but I'm okay with that. They're not going to be perfectly symmetrical no matter what I do. I think next I want to do one of the little flowers. I'm going to start off with the darker of my two pink color blends that I showed you in the beginning. I'm not going to go too in depth on this flower because I have a full tutorial, an in-depth tutorial on how to make these. So I'm just going to kind of speed through and let you watch me. As I did with the branches, I'm gonna take my paste and a ball tool, kind of map out where I want to put this. I want to go on this side or that side. I think I'll go right down through here. This is going to be just a small little thing with some leaves on it and some berries, some white berries. Now this piece will be way longer than what I need, but I'm going to put it where I want it. And then I could just leave the excess or cut it off, either way. I almost think that's too long. I'm going to have a little leaf there at the tip, so it'll be fine. Okay, I think that's a good placement for that one. Okay, so now the trick is to see if I can get this one in the same spot or thereabouts. This one needs to go over this way just a little bit. Cut off the excess. Okay, I think that looks fairly symmetrical. Then I'm going to take that same color and roll me out some small little balls. The size of the balls here will determine the size ball tool that I need. I'm going to make that just a little bit more of an elongated shape and just pull down till I get that tiny little leaf. And it stuck to my finger. Try again. I figured out my problem. This the darker green that I was trying to use, it was just too soft. So I went with the other color that's a little bit lighter, and I've got me some tiny little shapes rolled out here. They're just some little rice or oval shapes. So I'm gonna get one, squish it just a little bit, and then take my ball tool and just pull it, and it'll curl up like that. And then you can just pick it up and add it to my little stem. Now I don't want it as curl. Okay, you couldn't see that. Sorry. Roll it out in my rice shape, flatten it just a tiny bit. That may have been too much, we'll see. Take my ball tool and pull it like that, and it'll just curl up and make me a cute little leaf. Okay, then I'm just gonna take and attach it to my little stem. And it doesn't matter if this part right here is a little bit messy, because I'm going to put berries on there anyway. Keep rolling it till I get it this size and shape and thickness that I want. It's better to roll it a few times than go all in from the get-go and it not, you know, and you squish it too much. Okay, so I'm going to put a couple of more on these, then we'll move on. Now that I have those cute little stems on, I still got to put the berries, but we'll worry about that later. I'm going to move on to my brighter green leaves here. There's a couple of different ways I like to do these leaves. I do like to do a few of them kind of as you would a rose leaf or like the poinsettia leaf, to where I take it, I'm going to squish it flat and pull a line and then make the little veins. I'm going to do a couple of them this way. And I'm going to attach it right here, I think. I've got to cover up this little stem here. Well, I mean, I don't have to, but I'm not really liking the way it looks. So, I'll cover that up. My plan was to make a little vine with these kind of leaves on it like I did here, but I just don't know that I've got room for it actually, and there's no point in getting it too crowded. So I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and put my poinsettia leaves on and go from there, and then if I have room I can gently tuck some of those underneath it. And to put those on, since I've already got them shaped, I'm just going to pick them up with a ball tool and just place it on. I'm going to try to split the hole there so that there's not a leaf right over the hole. I'm going to keep my spacing in mind. I'm going to have 5 of these, so I need to space accordingly. Take the fatter end of the ball tool and gently blend it into that center there. Okay, now I've got those on. This one, I didn't work out my spacing just right. So I really should not have pressed those petals in until I got the spacing correct. But I didn't think about that at the time. But that's the way I should have done it. I should have just gently laid them on there and then pressed them in. I'm definitely going to have some more stuff here. I'm almost thinking about putting another little rose here, or maybe up here. First, I'm going to put another small flower here. I've decided from the poinsettia over this way is good. I just need some more stuff right around through here. So I'm going to make another flower, probably smaller than this one, and put right here. I'm making my flowers here, and there is one thing I want to tell you. I said I have a full in-depth tutorial on how to make these, and I do, but I have changed one thing since making that video. I pulled the dots out and used them flat, shaped them from there, but I feel like I get a better shape if I roll them into a ball first and then flatten them out just a little bit with my fingers and then shape them. So that's what I've been doing. Alright, I added my little roses here, and then I also added a few more leaves around here and there. I was going to call it done, but I design on the fly. When I started this, the only thing I knew was that I wanted the design up top, and then I wanted the poinsettia roughly in the center and let it go from there. I wasn't going to add the stem with the light green leaves like I showed you, but I changed my mind, and that's what I'm going to do. To make that decision, what I did is just took these leaves and just kind of laid them out here like that, and just said, okay, well, I kind of like the way that's looking, you know, just to kind of give me a rough idea. So the first thing I got to do, lay this out so I can figure out where they're going to go, so I know kind of where to put my stem. Okay, so that's going to be pretty long, but I'm going to go ahead and get some paste, put there as I move them. Maybe that wasn't a good idea. Okay, and then, okay, I know where to go from there. Just going to kind of follow the curve of the shape here. I don't know if, yeah, that'll work if I go right up next to that. Alright, got that one ready. Now let's figure out where they're going to go on the other one. Now I'm going to get ready to make the stem. Just got some scrap clay of that color. One thing to note is that before I did this, the bottom of my pieces were kind of oily from the lotion on my hands, and where I'd been picking them up and moving them around there at the bottom and looking at them and stuff. I took a little bit of alcohol on my rag and wiped them down before I started doing this, because I wanted to make sure that my little stem here would stick, and my leaves too. Oh, look at that. I cannot believe that was exactly the right length. Where I want my leaves, I'm going to add a little bit more poly paste. First, I'm going to flatten them out with my fingers. I'm not going to have these standing up three-dimensional like those. I'm just going to have a singular line going down the center. And I'm going to put them flat against the base. So I'm going to need to add some paste to that. I think I'll do the inside one first, because I have to work it around this kind of stuff. Okay, and I'll press that in just a little bit, just so that it's laying flat there. Got a little bit too much paste there. See if I can clean it up a little. And a stem too. I decided it's just going to be easier to add the poly paste to the base instead of the leaf itself. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put my leaves on the tip here, and that will help me better space the medium ones in the middle, put my tiny ones on the end. Oh, and I think I just squished a pine needle. But it'll be alright. I'll survive. I can fix it. The other night when I was working, I worked 4 hours on one piece, or one pair. And that was just for doing, you know, this kind of stuff, because you know, I already had the pine cones done, already had my blends done, already had the base and the border and all of that finished. So I spent 4 hours just decorating that one pair. Well, I had them on a piece of paper on top of a tile, and when I went to put it in the oven, it slid off the paper and onto the floor. And guess how it landed? Yep, face down. So if I could fix that, which honestly there wasn't too much damage, but I was able to fix it, I can fix that one little needle that I squished, right? Just gonna give these a good press, put a little bit more of an indentation in there. And that will make sure that it's pressed well. I'm trying to be a little bit more mindful about touching this now since it's so full. I like that much better. I'm glad I decided to add these. Alright, so time to do the same thing on this one. Alright, what do you think? I think it's looking pretty good. I'm glad I made the decision to add those. But I'd like to know what you think. Would you have added them? Or would you have left it the way it was? Okay, now it's just the finishing touches. Okay, I'm going to use some black. It's not black. It's the black that has the, like the gold and silver glitter in it from Primo. Is it Twinkle Twinkle, maybe? I'm not sure. That's what I'm using here. I've already got me some circles cut out. Just going to pop them out and roll them into a ball. Okay, I got those ready. I'm going to get some more paste on a ball tool and pop it in the center of the poinsettias. I do want a decent amount there because I'm not going to press these little balls in. I'm just going to sit them on there. So I want enough paste where I don't have to worry about them coming off. Put one in the center, and then a little further out I'll put one between each petal. Now I'm going to get out the white glitter from Primo. I'm going to use this for my white berries, and then I've got some red glitter clay. I made this red. I just put some red glitter into some translucent clay, and I like filled it up. Fimo makes a red with glitter, but all of this is Primo, so it would have been too high of a temperature for the Fimo. I'm just getting all this warmed up. Okay, I got my clay warm and ready. Again, with my paste, I'm going to put the paste where I know I'm going to put the berries. Okay, so that's for all of my white ones. Going to press it down to my table and just start pulling little pieces off. These do need to be very small pieces. Pull them off and roll them up into little balls. Now, I have mentioned this before, but in case you haven't seen my other videos, when you're rolling out something that is this tiny, make tiny little movements. If you roll it like this, it's going to change the shape. So if you want it round, you're going to do tiny little round movements. The size of your ball kind of determines the size of your motion. I don't care that these are different sizes. I want them different sizes. I don't want one or two like really huge and a couple that are really small. It's kind of generally in the same area. Okay, I like that. I'm kind of putting the big ones back here with the bigger leaves and, you know, kind of graduate down as the leaves graduate, but not completely, just kind of, sort of. Okay, I'm happy with that now. So on to the red, and I'm going to put these more around the holly leaves. I'm going to turn these upside down so that I can see a little better. Again, I'm just going to randomly pull some off and make some little berries. Also may make some little flower buds in the color of the little roses. Not sure, I haven't decided on that yet. And get my berries on there and go from there. Paste again. Put it right around in there where I know I'm going to be adding some berries. I think I finally have them finished. I really would like to add some of the little pink rosebuds, but I think I'm going to leave it there. I've already got over 3 hours in this pair just decorating them. They're already going to be extremely expensive. If I keep going, they're going to be more expensive. And I just realized I didn't put a candy cane on here. I may add a candy cane. I don't know though. I think I like them as is. If I keep going, they're just going to be way too expensive. Those of you that do this for a living, do you struggle with that? The artist wants to add rosebuds and possibly a candy cane. The businesswoman says, no, cut it off. That's it. It's going to cost too much. Leave it alone. And I just really struggle with that. Most of the time, I do confess the artist usually wins out. She usually tells the businesswoman to hush, and that if somebody wants to buy them, they'll buy them. If they don't, they don't. So, you know, just a little food for thought there. I'm going to carefully, very carefully, take these over to the oven, one at a time, in my hand, not on the paper. I did check these for balance. I strung them on the needle and held them up. They hung perfectly. I'm happy about that. Don't have to worry about the balance. I picked them up carefully, looked them over for any fuzzies, cleaned off as much of the poly paste as I could, the excess, and repaired any damages that I had caused. So these little beauties are ready for the oven. I have decided that I'm going to put a finish on these, on the candy cane part at least. This is an example. This pear is completely finished. Candy cane is shiny, and this candy cane is shiny. All of the berries are sparkly. Now, this one right here has 10 coats of my finish on them. I know that sounds like a lot, but I'm going to show you what I'm using, and it dries super, super quick. So 10 coats is not really that big of a deal, especially since you're only putting it on the border and the candy cane. This one is straight out of the oven. So this is what it looks like straight out of the oven. It's beautiful, but it is, you know, kind of dull. You know what clay looks like when it first comes out of the oven. This piece here has one coat, and it doesn't have the glitter on the berries, and it has a little bit of shine there, but it's not incredibly shiny. And then this one is the one that is completely finished. You can see it's a lot shinier than this one. So let me show you how to do it. If you have never heard of this before, you may be quite shocked when I tell you what I'm using for this, and that is floor gloss. Floor gloss can be used on polymer clay. It makes it very shiny. I need to do a test one day of floor gloss compared to polyurethane and compared to like Sculpey gloss glaze and other finishes. I really like this. It is super shiny. Now this particular one is not made anymore. It has been discontinued, but I have had this forever. I mean, I've had it for years, and a bottle will last you forever because it's not like you use a whole lot of it. But I'll leave you links in the description box for an alternative to that. Anything like Mop and Glow, which I'm not sure they still make that anymore either. I'll find you one and leave you a link for it. The next question is going to be, how do we put this on here? I like to use these little micro swabs or micro brushes, whatever they're called. I think these work great for this, since it is very specific spaces that we're putting this. Now, if you're coating a bead or something like that with this, it's very easy to just dip it down in there, pull it out, and let it dry. Make sure you don't have any drips on the bottom. But obviously, we can't do this with this one. Another thing, you can use a small brush. I just find it best to use these. But if you don't have these, a small brush will work just fine. Wonder, you might even could use a silicone tool. I didn't try that, but that might work too. Okay, I have mine poured out in just this little container here. Not a lot because I don't need a lot, but to me it's hard to work with it in the bottle itself. And I only want just a very, very little bit on my brush. So I dip it down in there and just kind of rub the excess off. Because if you get too much, it will flood. So just take my swab, gently go over it like that. Now the problem comes with, how do you hold this? So I would suggest doing like one or two sides, so I can still hold it on this side. And then I go over the side and then the front. Now that's the way I found this easiest to do it. And you see, I've done this whole section with just one dip. It does not take much of this at all. Very thin. I mean, it's not watery, but it's as thin as water. It's very thin product, so it will run if you're not careful. And then I would coat the little berries. There again, make sure you don't have too much on there. The little dots inside of here. Now, one thing I did is I did a single coat on my sticker bush leaves, my holly bushes. They have a very waxy, like, I guess that's what you would say. They're shiny. They're really thick and shiny. So I'm just putting one thin coat on those. One thing you can do to let this dry. Now, like I said, it does not take long to dry. But one thing I did was just took a bead piercing needle, took a little container, and just did that and let it dry. Now, by the time that you do the other earring, this will probably be dry. It doesn't take it long at all. Now, to do the earrings that have the post, they are super easy to do. I'm just taking a piece of scrap clay from the project. Tweezers would be great, but I don't have any good tweezers. So I'm just going to use my pliers, my jewelry pliers. Again, I'm going to get off as much of that excess as I can. And I was doing several of these, and by the time I went through them, it was time to go back and start again. That's how fast this stuff dries. Then I'm going to take my piece of scrap clay here and just press it down in there. That's a great way to let that dry. This is dry. So now I can go back and do this edge. Now this pair of earrings doesn't have the candy cane on it, so I'm not doing that. Now this is where I have to be a little bit more careful going around these leaves here. I want to try to get it up to the leaves the best that I can, but I'm trying not to get it on the leaves. But here's a great thing about this stuff, is that if I did get it on the leaves, well, I'm going to do it on the back here just to show you. All right, I'm putting some right there on the back where I don't want it. I'm going to give that just a minute and let it dry, and then I will show you how to fix that. While the other earring is drying, I'm going to show you how I do the berries to make them nice and sparkly. If you don't want them super sparkly, you know, the clay itself had glitter in it. If you don't want it super sparkly, I would just put the coating on the berries like the outside and let that be it. And they're really pretty that way. But if you want them to have a little extra oomph, I'll show you how I did it. Got a piece of plastic here, and take some iridescent glitter. Then my red glitter. Take my floor gloss. Mix a little glitter into that. And coat the berries with it. Now I did do a coat of just the clear on the berries first. You don't want to do too much of this at once, because it'll make all the berries kind of run together, and it just looks like a big blob. So you only want to do a little bit of this at once. One more thing that I did to kind of liven these up a little bit, I used some Rub and Buff to bring out the pine cone and the pine needles. Now my Rub and Buff I bought in a big set that had, I don't know, maybe 9 different colors in it. Not sure. It had lots of different colors. Some of these colors you cannot buy individually, and some of them you can, but I just bought the big set, and I'm glad I did. They're rather expensive, but I like having those different colors when I need them. This is the Autumn Gold, which to me is not gold. It is more of a copper color, but it is a beautiful color. So again, I'm just going to take my micro swab. I could use a brush. Don't want too much on there. And I'm just going to gently brush over the pine cone. And then the edge of the scales of the pine cone picks up that metallic rubbing buff. And in this small amount, I'm not going to worry about having this sealed. I believe it will be just fine. Now, if it was a whole lot of it, or if it was an integral part of the design, then I might worry more about sealing it. But since it's just a little accent, I'm not really going to worry about it. This one, I'm using the Grecian gold. Again, just a little bitty dab. And just very lightly brush over my pine needles. Now, this is obviously completely optional, but I think this, along with the glitter on the berries, just gives it a nice finishing touch. Now, I feel like I got a little bit too much of the gold right there, so I'm just going to take another swab, clean a little bit of it off. Now, if you get way too much of this, or if you get it in a spot that you don't want it, you can use alcohol to clean it off. Now, I want to show you how to clean this off if you get it where you don't want it. The floor gloss, that is. Remember, I got it right there where I didn't want it. The easiest way, let me find it. There we go. To clean this off is with alcohol. Alcohol will take this off. It's also a good way to clean your brush in between. Your swab brush, whatever you want to call it. Clean it in between while you're waiting for it to dry. You don't have to get a new swab every time, because if it dries in this, it will be it'll be hard. It'll make the little swab hard. And see, took it right off. So it's very easy to clean up if you make a mistake. So that's basically it. I'm going to finish these up, and then I will show you what they look like when they're completely done. My pieces are almost dry, but while I'm waiting on those to dry, I want to talk to you about something. These are a few of my pieces from this year, right? And if you're new to clay and you look at this and think, oh, well, I can't do that. Well, when I was new, I couldn't do this either. I am almost 6 years in. January, February will be 6 years. But would you like to see what I did for Christmas just 2 years ago? 2 years ago. This is what they look like 2 years ago. I mean, that is a major, major difference. So when I made this, I had been at it for almost 4 years. 4 years. And this is what I did. Now, I had not been doing 3D work for very long. I don't know how long before I made this when I started getting into 3D work. You know, honestly, I don't know if it was 6 months or a year. But I know I had not been doing this type of work for 4 years. But I had been doing clay for 4 years. So if you've been doing this for 6 months and you look at this and think, well, I can't do this. Well, it took me 4 years to do this. And don't expect to be able to do all of this complicated, detailed work after 6 months or 2 months, you know. It takes a long time to develop the skill. So I just want you to know that it takes time. It takes time, it takes patience, and most of all, it takes practice. this compared to that. I'm going to give you a close-up. I mean, there's an amazing difference in the poinsettias, the pine cones, even the needles. It takes time. It just takes time. Here they are, all finished. I put 5 coats of the floor finish. I really think there's really not much of a difference between the 5 and the 10. I just did 10 on this because, well, basically I just wanted to see what it looked like. But I think once you get to 4, 5, 6 coats, I don't think it makes a difference going any further than that. On the berries, I did 2 coats of the glitter finish, and then I did 3 coats of the clear on top of that, just to make the glitter really shiny and so it doesn't feel rough to the touch. I left the center of the poinsettias just plain. I decided not to put glitter on there. I just put the clear finish on there. I did the gold on the pine needles and then the copperish color on the pine cone. I feel like all of those little details make a huge difference in the finished piece. The glitter added, the rub and buff just to highlight those pieces. I think all of that comes together to make a beautiful, beautiful set of earrings. Thank you so much for sticking in with me for 3 long videos. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Okay, thanks. Bye.